Welcome to Health Law Talk, presented by Chehardy Sherman Williams. Health law broken down through expert discussion, real client issues, and real-life experiences. Breaking barriers to understanding complex healthcare issues is our job.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever time it is that you're listening to this podcast. We have a special edition, or I guess a gift thankful edition for Thanksgiving from the host here at Chehardy Sherman Williams of the Health Law Talk podcast. In the studio, my fellow co-host, George Mueller.
Good morning.
Rory Bellina.
Good morning, everyone.
And what a great day. We thought we'd just come on and talk about giving thanks, what we're thankful for, what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. And I think we have a special surprise in the studio today.
It does look like it. On what I will say is kind of a fittingly sort of gray, mid-50s kind of pre-Thanksgiving morning, right? It's that day when you've hopefully gotten up early and gotten most of your shopping done, so you're not in the Wednesday frenzy. I know I got most of my shopping done this morning for groceries for what we're going to be cooking Thursday. And so able to get in the office to get some work done, get a few things done. Some things that have popped up, in fact, so as it always is. Always
the case. Never ends, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the road continues to go.
But yeah, it does look like some of the Thanksgiving spirit has made it into the studio this morning.
I think, and courtesy of Bellina.
That's right, Rory Bellina. So what Rory Bellina has brought in for us, as you can hear.
As you demonstrate to grab the bottle, right? So
across the studio desk is a bottle of, it looks like, Old Forester Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 1897 bottled in bond, which I understand is one of the 4 Whiskey Bro editions that Old Forester offers. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Larry?
yeah, that's correct. We could do a whole topic,
episode, right?
A whole episode on bottled in bond and the government regulations behind that. But yeah, I thought this would be a good.
That would be a fitting topic. Although I don't know if we want to.
I don't know if it'd be a health law talk.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
Our viewership and listenership with non-healthcare regulations. But yeah, this looks delicious. It's got a nice color. It says it's 100 proof, so I guess it's a little hotter than the 86 to 93 proof you typically see with most bourbons.
Right.
And it's got a lot of lineages, as you said, of course, a lot of federal regulations as to what goes in a bottled and bond. I've read that a couple of times to try to understand it. I'm not going to butcher it as to explain it to our viewership. They can go look at it or request that it be a topic to be covered in a subsequent episode, right?
Yeah, that'd be a fun episode. Talk about all the different characterizations of bourbon. Bourbon's a really hot thing right now that people are collecting and getting into the hobby of, and like you said, bottled and bond, cask strength, barrel strength, all that good stuff, whatever all these terms mean. So
the great thing about bourbon right now is, of course, you can use it in the sweet potatoes, you can use it in desserts, you can use it to calm your nerves while you're cooking.
Your bread pudding, right?
Or
Absolutely.
If your team's not winning Thursday afternoon, or whatever, just to celebrate with friends, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, look, I think we're doing that right now.
Let's open it up.
I think the only thing wrong with this bottle is it's not open.
It's not open. Open this up, and I guess while I'm doing that,
the sound effects of the bottles slashing across the table. There we go. And I think, look, it's appropriate that we have this. I mean, all of us, everybody, even for the listeners on here who, everybody works really hard, and it's really good sometimes to take a breath and give thanks, especially during this week.
In moderation, of course.
Of course, absolutely. Oh, I heard the cork pop. Did you? I don't know if I heard that, but it smells good.
Do we have we don't have smell-o-vision yet?
No, not yet.
All of our TV chefs always reference that as sort of a comical joke that
cork smells really good.
Does it now?
But so
who's doing the honors? Who's pouring? Who's doing the pour?
I just incidentally, I looked at something last night. Apparently, Real Bourbon Files have one of these exotic-looking. It looks like a language chart that you might see in the front of a dictionary or other book. It's a bourbon taste wheel, and apparently there's an extraordinary diversity of tastes that you can find in bourbon. A lot of them are pretty obvious. They pop up even if you're casual, you can drink them and smell them. But they have some really, really, the cinnamon and the toffee and the caramel and this and leather and just a lot of stuff. Similar to wine, not dramatically different, but the spirit, I guess, hits your mouth different because of all the alcohol. But we don't have a wheel in here. That's the only thing.
We'll have to add that.
It'll just be
put up on the monitor next time.
Yeah, no, and I don't suggest to be a bourbon file at all. We pull it up, but this is good. I'm reminded of this because we have technical aspects and we have practical aspects, and it reminds us of what we kind of discuss with our clients all the time. There's always a rigidity of technicalities behind what we do. So it's kind of fun. It's a little different.
So Mueller, okay, good. He's going to do the pour.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good. Very good.
So while he pours, Conrad, what are you thankful for this year? Looking forward to next year. You go in both directions.
I guess if I'm going to be introspective, I'm gonna say I'm always thankful for the family.
Yep.
I don't think any one of us here isn't thankful for that, and so I love the family. This year turned out to be a good year. Turned out business-wise was a good year. I think, knock on wood, hopefully next year will be a good year. So, and then I'm thankful to have good friends. The three of us really have, coalesced and had, I think, a good year. And especially on the podcast, it's been a pleasure to come and do some shows with all of you, So, very happy with that.
Yeah, those are all good points.
So I'll briefly interpose that we have 3 different vessels, only one of which apparently would be worthy of the actual bourbon, which is an American Craft Spirits Association Glencairn, and then in the middle we have a Libby St. Regis 1950s issue.
I like
small
that.
rock glass, which is square in the bottom.
I got some of those. You inspired me to get that on eBay.
Just great glasses. They feel good in the hand. They're appropriately sized for a small cocktail.
And what am I holding?
You're holding something I brought back from actually when I studied abroad in Vienna. Austria.
Nice.
It was given to me by the bar owner, incidentally. It was not Larson.
I learned something new about George every day. This is good.
This is spelled Wildbadquelle, which is Wildbadquelle, I think, and it's from
you even got the
Schwarzbisch Hall.
Wow.
The pronunciation.
Mineral Brunnen Site 1300. And then,
that's impressive.
What it says on the, and then it has a seal of the name we
Thank
just
you.
described.
That's impressive.
So you have
I have that.
an exotic European glass. You have a circa 1950s kind of madman small rocks glass.
The
of the
Glencairn.
Glencairn.
Thank you.
And so here we go.
Gentlemen,
cheers, everyone.
To Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Cheers.
And to health talk, right? Here we go.
Ooh, wow. That is really good.
It's a lot stronger than the 1910.
Well, it's got a little
It's
burn,
hotter.
but it's
got a lot more heat to it, like you said. The 1910 I think is a 93 proof.
It's a 93.
So you go up, what's that, 100 proof? So that's, what's the rough back of the napkin math on alcohol content?
It tastes a little more wood. The wood's a little more pronounced.
Would you agree? I find that when I drink the 1910,
So
I could. It's probably not a good thing, but I could drink it a lot faster. This I could see is a lot more of a sipping cold weather.
No, this is a measured sipping consumption.
Yes.
as I just finished my entire drink.
Well,
that's awkward.
You had the smallest pour.
There we go.
Those at home,
How did I get the small pour? That was good. That was delicious.
You're right though. Definitely more heat. It's amazing how they could do that with just small.
And imagine some of their single barrel offerings are coming in at 116.
And by the way, just so everybody knows,
136.
we don't get anything from Old Forester. We don't. This is just us sitting around drinking. So don't think anyone who's listening that we get
simply
something.
Simply put, this is an uncompensated discussion.
That's a very good.
This is not an ad,
right?
At best, we are amateur brand ambassadors,
right.
But this is just really just a little
right.
bit fun.
So we heard from Conrad. George, what about you? What are you thankful for this year?
Thankful for this year. I'm thankful that the
Good question.
COVID stuff sort of lifted.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, yes.
And I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but we can both certainly be thankful for it. I can tell you that it's nice to see people again.
Agreed.
And from a client standpoint, I think from a CLE standpoint, from kind of a school standpoint, I know we all have children relatively the same age, and it's really nice to see teachers and parents and for our kids to see their kids. And other than a few folks doing their thing for whatever reason they're doing it, then no one's wearing masks, so that's nice. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for another year, and man, there's a lot going on in the world, and all arrows are pointing up. So
Sure.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here,
and
brother.
I'm thankful that I got all my groceries done.
That's right.
This morning.
That's right. So am I.
Amen to that.
And the melatones have already been boiled, incidentally. Oh. That's right. I boil those in chicken stock and a little bit of the scramuzza seasoning and a few other things just to add a little baseline of brine flavor.
For those of you who don't know, that's the Mueller famous stuffed merlaton. I mean, that is just unreal.
The shrimp come from Intercoastal City, and it'll be very exciting. We're looking forward to cooking those.
That's one thing we do well here in New Orleans is that the food. I mean, you really can't beat it, you know.
Right.
Well, let's you know.
So yeah,
did you make enough for us?
You know, so the answer is we purchased 8 melitons, and so strike that. We have 9. I took the biggest one. I'm going to bury it in the meliton vine that I have growing and try to get
Do you bury the whole thing butt up?
It's kind of 3/4 butt up. You're supposed to have a little bit exposed. They're just right. You're supposed to go nose down, tail end up, and as I understand,
And you cut the nose off.
I just read what the Louisiana LSU Agriculture School has somewhere
Gotcha.
online, and what my grandfather used to do. And he used to jam them in with a little bit of the butt sticking up. Now, I'm a little late in the year, but I'm going to do it anyway because it was a big meliton. I like the genes of it. Hopefully it'll grow.
Good.
The idea is you want those flowers to be able to cross-pollinate a little bit, I think, and it helps fertilization to get fruit. But no, we have 8 of those that'll split at 16.
Nice.
And so that's definitely one for everybody, and some people will double up. And then there's a few left over that'll be cold the next day, which will be really good on Friday and Saturday.
He's got it
great.
going on, man.
Yeah.
Now, Rory, back to you. You're the last one. So what are you thankful for?
Like George said, I'm thankful that I think we're, knock on wood, out of the COVID world, you know, for...
I can't believe I missed that. That's good.
Yeah, and we started this podcast, I think we started it during COVID, didn't we?
did.
We were doing this podcast during COVID. So
It's been about a year and a half now.
When I go back and listen to other episodes or read the topic descriptions or like look at notes from when we prepared to it, we spent so much time and so much energy on that. And it was good. People needed to hear it. It was regulations flying out of DC left and right. But I'm glad we're past that and we're back to more like of our traditional practice. It was fun. We got to, you know, do some unique things and learn some unique things. But I'm glad that that's over. You know, some of the regulations are staying. A lot of them are going back to how they were before. But I'm thankful that we've kind of that's ended, I guess. And then, like you said, thankful that's been a really good, busy work year. Family and kids have been healthy. So, you know, all that. Just generally thankful that it's been a good year. You know, we're heading into, you know, politically, it's going to be interesting what happens. I think next year when elections ramp up, I'm a huge political fan. I like to follow local and national elections. And that affects our practice area.
What we do. We really need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we do.
And so this is going to be, you know, historically, and we're kind of pivoting, but historically, the year before an election is when you see a lot of these regulations that the current president or administration wants, is when they start to push through because they're hedging if, you know, it's going to take time to get through Congress if they have control of Congress. And if they're not reelected, then they didn't get to do something that they maybe promised on the campaign trail. So if you look at kind of the history of presidencies, this year before the end of their first term is when you start to see a lot of action. Mm-hmm. They're also campaigning for themselves, so they want to do things that they said that they were going to do. So we have to see where that lands on the healthcare and transactional side. You know, and we've got some interesting Supreme Court cases.
People were talking about whether or not they were going to change the law regarding physician ownership of ASCs. Was that supposed to change? Or we're talking, I know it
You mean
hasn't.
hospitals or the ASCs?
Maybe it's physician-owned hospitals. I know there was a moratorium.
That's what I heard on the hospital side.
Right, and so, but that hasn't happened.
That moratorium has been in effect since Affordable Care.
Yeah, March
long time.
March 23rd, 2010.
But there were some people were kind of poking their head up, saying, "Well, we might change that." Y'all would have any information on that?
I heard the rumor. I heard the same thing you did.
Wild, unfounded rumor. Then.
Sure.
No. I think there was an actual bill out the gate that got crushed, or there was some talk about it. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's going to be. Let me just say this: if the discussion continues, I mean, we'll see if it has legs or not. You know, we'll have to see.
Right.
I mean, it'll definitely cut down. If that happens, it'll cut down on the number of ASCs. That's for sure.
Sure, because that's the only game in town right now for physicians. Really,
it is. It is.
Right. I thought that was a real interesting point, just talking about things.
You could have a hospital sitting, I mean, I know we're pivoting here, but you could have a hospital and then literally right next door on the plot of land next door to them, you have an ASC. And you're like, why do they do that?
Sure. They can own a piece of it.
Right.
So,
Interesting. Well, it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, and going forward, I know that I think the Supreme Court's announced the cases that they're taking up. I haven't seen any that are specifically healthcare related. I know that there's some affirmative action cases. There's a few on the college admissions scandal, that kind of thing. They just took care of Dobbs, which was a big healthcare case for us. But I think looking forward to the next year, there'll be some Supreme Court cases that will be interesting to watch. And like you said, what's going to become, now that we have a split Congress, what's going to be able to be accomplished?
Well, I know one thing. On the state level, we're going to have the Louisiana State Medical Society and all their personnel come on the show in January.
Yeah.
And they're going to give us sort of a pre-state law session of all the bills that are coming out right in the 2023 session. And then they're going to come at the end of the session, in August, and give us a post-game wrap-up, which I think would be good.
Fully engrossed as approved.
Yeah. Fully engrossed, signed by the governor, or what did or did not work. So,
and we've also got planned some hospital administrators that are former.
Oh, that's really good, yeah.
That's going to be a good one because we want to give our listeners, we've heard feedback, we want to give our listeners more of a behind-the-scenes, behind the curtain of, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people know the rules and regulations and how things can be structured. But let's talk about what really happens in a hospital setting. Let's talk about how these reps are in the surgery center or in the OR. Let's talk about how these doctors wouldn't be paid, how they can and can't be paid, and what's happening in practicality. We like to talk about the regulations and what you can and can't do, but we want to hear it from the hospital side of what's really going on. Both of you, George and Conrad, are married to physicians, so I'm sure you hear at night, what's going on, and you're like, oh, you shouldn't be doing it that way, or I don't know if that's quite right. So, that's going to be fun to hear from them as well.
I think without any attribution of anything specific, you do get to hear, you get kind of an osmotic effect of at least a slice or a portion of that, and that certainly is informative.
Sure,
absolutely.
Sure.
So we have a lot of good stuff coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
We have a good 2020. Now here's the funny thing: we're going to fly through to Christmas.
I'm going to briefly. We eventually need to do a show on kind of what's going on with private equity and all the roll-ups you're doing
absolutely.
in both the internal medicine groups and the subspecialty groups. I think a GI group just did like a $750 million deal recently. They were talking about the physicians actually raised the money to buy someone out of the deal.
I think that'd be a great topic.
Have a note on it to discuss it, but I think that's a topic that's just ripe for discussion.
I think all of us should,
and for all of our listeners who are part of a large group, of a specialty group or whatever, I think that's really interesting. And the economics of that and how that goes and how you navigate those things,
and how private equity is really starting to jump into a lot of these industries, and it seems to me that they're scooping up these practice types that focus on the older population. You see a lot of dermatology, radiology, pathology, like you said, gastro, cardio I've seen recently. So I think private equity is seeing, okay, we've got an aging American population. This is where the money's going to be. So that's something that we're going to
see a 10 to 15 year spike in utilization and even maybe a shortage of providers. So
let's jump on it now.
That says a lot of things for value, right?
So,
and I'm going to say I'm also thankful for my BB Prime steak
another
burger.
That is not an ad.
It's not an ad,
plug, not an ad.
We don't get anything.
We need to tag these Old Forester and BB Prime in this podcast.
Well, if you were gonna have two things you wanted to be thankful for, I would say a good bottle of bourbon and a great 1,500-degree steak broiler for your backyard kitchen. I think are two things you definitely want to be thankful
for. And literally, we're not compensated in any way, shape, or form from BB Prime as well.
No.
But yes, I know what you're talking about because your influence.
It's the holiday
made
season.
Me buy one.
Those are fun things. Those are things that enhance your opportunity to be able to spend time with your family.
It's true.
Food, especially during what we will call
the 6-minute
competitive
steak.
Football season. You're talking about rivalry week. You're talking about bowl season. Etc. Those are times when staying home and having good food with your family.
Yes,
really
that's very true. Very true. All true.
So I'm thankful.
On the point of gratitude.
It's been a great 2022. We'll have some more episodes this year before we wrap up at the end of the year. But overall, it's been a great year. It's been a great time doing these podcasts with y'all.
Absolutely.
So, Rory, do you want to bring us home, or you want me to bring you home? Nope. There
You
we
can
go.
do it.
Okay, here we go.
Sign off, sign out.
Well, gentlemen, again, it's been a fun year, and I know I can say from the bottom of my heart that I'm looking forward to 2023. It's going to be a great year, and we have a lot of good stuff coming up. Now, for our listeners out there, we're going to wrap it up today. This is just a little thankfulness. And one thing that I think we forgot to mention is we are very thankful for you, the listener, who takes their time to listen to our podcasts, who sends us an email, let us know what they want to hear. So thank you. Without you, this doesn't exist. So again, thank you, listeners. Stay on target. Listen to our podcast. Give us that 5-star rating. Subscribe to us. And look forward to another episode of Health Law Talk. Enjoy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Health Law Talk, presented by Chehardy Sherman Williams. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel, make sure to give us that 5-star rating, and share with your friends. Chehardy Sherman Williams is providing this podcast as a public service. This podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast does not constitute legal advice, nor does this podcast establish an attorney-client relationship. Reference to any specific product or entity does not count as an endorsement or recommendation by Chehardy Sherman Williams. The views expressed by guests on the show are their own, and their appearance does not imply an endorsement of them or their entity that they represent. Remember, please consult an attorney for your specific legal issues.